What is up, Tube users? I'm the Stereotypical Gamer, and welcome back to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today we are hopping into Hotline Miami. This is just an absolute gem of a game. I love the combat, I love the music in this game, and the overall kind of story. While I don't really like how things are kind of told and played out, I think the story is also pretty intriguing for this game, and it's just really fun and addicting to just go through these levels. There's a lot of like the same things, like a lot of the enemies path the same way each time, but sometimes they can have different weapons, so there's a fresh take each time you go in, but just trying to perfect each of these levels without dying and stuff and trying to get high scores is just really addicting. And it's crazy because despite this game having a 8-bit graphic style and like a top-down perspective, you know, not even in 3D or anything, it is probably one of the most brutally violent games that I've ever played. And I've played my fair share of shooters, fighting games, and stuff like that. There's no game that really matches just the overall graphic nature of Hotline Miami. And it's crazy that it's able to be this intensely graphic while not being graphically intense itself. And I love the quick pace of the missions. They can be pretty tough, especially later on in some of the later levels of just trying to get the hang of things and perfecting everything, because you need to go through each level and clear out every enemy while not getting hit by anything yourself, because there are some things that will allow you to take a bullet or so, but for the most part, if you get hit, you're dead and you have to reset. But it's always super quick. I mean, just like the press of a button and you're back reset at the start point, so it's really quick and really fast paced, and I like that you can just clear through these stages just one after another and really have no downtime in terms of gameplay. And I like the perk system in this game, or whatever you want to call it. Basically how it works is when you start a mission, there are like different masks that you'll unlock through just doing levels and getting high scores in each of these levels, and they each do something unique. So for the most part, I use the unicorn mask, which is kind of one of the later masks that you get, and basically what it does is it makes your bullet sound silent. And even though it doesn't sound like that in game, usually if you shoot a gun anywhere like kind of in the vicinity of people, they'll all come and try and gang up on you. And so just having the silent weaponry where they just don't notice me at all is really helpful. And I like how they each have a unique feel, and that some are just really good on certain levels. Like there's one that debuffs like the attack dog enemies, and so like using that for a map that has a lot of dogs on it is really useful. And then there's like just other ones that will like buff melee weapons and stuff like that, so on a level that has a lot of melee weapons and no guns, it's super useful. So I love just having all of these unique kind of perks that you can use that are really helpful throughout each of the different levels. I absolutely love the soundtrack to this game. It's one of, like, I don't have a lot of original soundtracks that I play in my playlist, but this is definitely one of them. I love the kind of like 8-bit kind of club music that plays through each of these levels. It's just such a great vibe, and just the overall like coloration of things and just how it all plays out together is just so well done. It really gives that kind of retro wave Miami vibe. But I wouldn't say this game is perfect, so let's get into some of the bad aspects of this game. One of the things I'm not a fan of in this game is the kind of randomness that happens when fighting another melee enemy when you have like a melee weapon. Sometimes it just kind of feels like that they just have like this aimbot and are able to just slice you before you're even able to slice them. For the most part, as long as you have quick reactions, they aren't really that much of a threat, but I feel like sometimes they just have this aimbot that you really can't counter unless you had like a gun or something. And while I did like the story for this game and kind of like how it plays out and stuff like that, I wasn't really a big fan of how the story was told. So basically you go into these levels, and then once you complete a mission, you go to like a store, and there's this like same guy in like a different wig at each of these stores, and that's kind of how this story is conveyed. And then you wake up the next morning, you get a call on your answer machine to go go clean up a certain area of enemies and stuff like that. And it just kind of repeats that. There's really nothing else to it. You'll get like some other things in certain missions, but for the most part, that's just how things are told. Is after you clear a place, you'll like talk to this same guy in these different wigs. You'll get an answering machine to go clean up a certain place. And there, I mean, there's some more overarching story, but that's for the most part how things are told, and it just kind of gets boring and repetitive pretty quickly. And then the other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the kind of layout of windows in certain levels. Like, just kind of the overall design of having windows indoors in most of these places doesn't make sense. But I think the reason they do that is just for enemies to have other line of sights of you. And it can be kind of hard to tell the first couple of times where windows are, because they kind of just look like normal walls, except for they're a little bit blue. And for the most part, I normally wouldn't expect windows indoors like they are in this game, and it's just kind of frustrating those first couple times you take a few strays from a guy that's in a window super far away that you couldn't see. Yeah, I mean, that's all the bad I have to say about this game. I think that this is a perfect short and sweet game. I think for the most part you can complete just the overall main story in like 4 to 6 hours. And then there's a bunch of like bonus content that you can do, and a whole bunch of different unlocks if you go through and play again. Like I've played through the game a couple of times, and I still have to get more points in order to unlock some of the later masks. So there's still a lot to grind out even after the game's done, and there's still a lot of ways this game is fresh and exciting, even though for the most part the levels stay the same. And just going through these levels, especially for the first time, is really addicting. I think my first time playing through this game, I played through, I think, the majority of the game in like 4 hours straight. It was just so much fun, and I love everything about this game, from the art style to the easy to learn and pick up gameplay that just gets increasingly challenging, not by like the actual enemies getting more challenging, but just kind of the layout and the nature of the places that you go to gets more challenging. And I really like that scale of difficulty that this game has. And I love that there is absolutely no downtime in this game. Like, I don't think there is a single load screen. Like, it is instantaneous from when you start the game to just moving around, going to different load areas and stuff like that is instantaneous. Restarting each level once you like die or something like that is instantaneous. So there's just a lot of just super fast, and just being able to go through, clear these missions, retry the missions, and just kind of perfect them down so instantaneously without having to wait is just such a treat that we don't have often enough in games today. And I love how quick and efficiently you can execute each level. There's sometimes when I'll catch myself like waiting for an enemy to path around a corner or get right next to a door so I can knock him out and stuff like that. But for the most part, if you find the right path to go to each enemies and take them out, you won't ever have that sort of downtime. And so just being able to perfect a level and get those really high scores and really high grades is such a satisfying feeling for this game. And usually I don't like to go for high scores in games. I'm not a big fan of just like score collecting kind of games like that, but this game, especially with the unlock system being part of the points that you collect, is a really fun and addicting kind of points game. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like if you did. Comment any other fantastically fun games you know of for under $15, and I'll definitely check them out. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.